week, we returned to class for coming of age, and it was so good to see each other. The leaders of the class wondered whether we should talk at all about the events in Washington and about leadership. But when the kids came together, we found the ninth graders, they did want to talk about leadership. They did want to talk about how we move forward. And we reminded ourselves that it is our values, it is our principles, and our ability to uphold those principles. That's how we want to lead each other forward. And with that being the case, yes, that is conversation that belongs in this faith, in this church, how we will lead each other forward. Come, let us worship here today. Join us in singing Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide us, peace has guided us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from dreams to living. Love will guide us through the dark night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from grief to living. Love will guide us through the dark night.
Each week, we ask Unity families to share their joys and sorrows, concerns, blessings, gifts, and challenges with us over email so that we can celebrate together, give each other support, and hold on to each other in love. This week, we ask the families who are involved with the 9th grade Coming of Age program to share what is in their hearts and in their minds as we turn to the new year. From Margot Trout, who is a coming of ager, it was a great joy that my family was able to go to the North Shore this past weekend, where we cross-country skied through an incredible winter backdrop. So good. Lois Harrison, who is a COA mentor this year, along with family, Carrie Michaels, Simon, and Bennett. We share our family joy/sorrow that Mom, Joan Harrison, who is 90 years old, is out of the hospital. That is a huge joy, and we hope she doesn't have to go in again soon. Carrie's mom, Mary Michaels, who is aged 95, is hanging in there at her COVID congregate care facility in Fridley. Carrie was able to see her once through a window. That was a joy. Carrie's sister Jane, who is 66, is at home, and while experiencing the COVID accompanying symptoms, she is doing okay overall. And she has the siblings to support her from afar. And here's Biggie. Lois got to bring hot chocolate to her ager, Miss Molly Rodich, this past Saturday. Hot chocolate is a joy. Betsy Hearn, mentor, offers her joy that after a couple of weeks missing each other, her ager, Margaret Nelson, connected with her on FaceTime and it was so very good to share stories from the break. Karen Duke, on behalf of Desiree Kemke and their daughter, the amazing Naomi, give us these joys. Playing a live version of the video game Among Us, complete with household tasks, security cameras, and costumes. I want directions on how to play that game at my house. There was lots of sledding in the beautiful winter weather, and there was an impromptu campfire in the backyard with some friends. Our sorrows, finding out an elderly uncle living in Ohio is ill with COVID, and our ongoing sadness and anger about the events in the U.S. Capitol, and our fear for the inauguration this coming week. From mentor Rebecca Stewart and family, David, Bjorn, Sev, and Oscar, our joys, walks along the river, homemade lemon bars, the joy of hugging, our sorrows, sending kids back to college, worries over aging parents, and generally, the state of the world. Brad Bear Benson, coming-of-age teacher, and family hold up several joys, cooking really good meals together from recipes found on Pinterest while Jane is out of town, watching the Avatar series on Netflix as a family, Go, Aang, and Korra. Our sorrows, the health of parents declining significantly, necessitating a trip to Illinois to support them. It's hard to manage from afar in COVID, and we are missing them terribly. We can't all go together. Jane and Henry went to Illinois to help, and we are holding down the fort here. And finally, from the mighty Quinn Hendel, I'm happy and full of joy because I've been staying busy. I've been getting to do things that make me happy, like a few different shows that I'm working on. But I do still feel sorrow as I really miss seeing my friends. Would you join me in prayer? Holy One, these joys and sorrows and all those concerns for loved ones, as well as appreciations for all that make our lives so full. We open our hearts. It is a new year, and though maybe the calendar is just a human invention that just marks time, we do feel that with the new year there can be new beginnings. I pray for our optimism, for our faith in having a positive outlook. Let us ask each other, what if? What if we can move forward in love for each other? Spirit, I pray that we can remind ourselves, each other, and our leaders that every day our business is each other's lives. Our focus really is on those we love, and that the challenge really is that we will love more, and that we will love everyone. Give us strength, Spirit. Fill our leaders with the strength and the inspiration. Help us to remember that we are all leaders in bringing our principles and our values to the way in which we live our lives. May that be so. Amen. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
Shayla, who had just turned 8 years old, had done 2 things every day this week. She had tried to hold her baby brother, and she'd gone to her neighbor's farm, a dog sled farm, to watch them practice for the winter dog sled races. She loved dogs. She was so grateful that her neighbors let her groom the puppies and feed them, and she loved to watch them practice with the sled and the musher, who is the human driver, steer and command the dogs and train them. She thought she also loved babies, but she wasn't sure, because every time she tried to hold her baby brother, he would cry and cry and cry. The first time she held him, she got scared, and she quickly gave him back to her mom. She felt unsettled by how much he was crying, but she really wanted to hold him, so she tried again. And the next time she tried to just wait it out. And she even held her breath and was like, just stop crying in her head. But he didn't stop crying, and so she gave him back to her other mom. Then she tried again, and this time, while holding him and he was crying and crying, she felt herself getting annoyed and frustrated, and she demanded that he stop crying. He did, but only for about 2 seconds, and then he started wailing and hollering, and she quickly gave him back to her mom's. Puppies didn't cry like that. And while she was feeding and grooming the puppies that day, she just felt so much joy. And she heard the commands of the musher yelling, hike, and whoa, and watching the dog start and stop. But when she heard the command, she also felt a little, she wondered whether the command was mean, because it sounded loud and stern, and she associated that with being mean. But when she would watch the dogs run, they actually seemed like they were really enjoying themselves, and that they were happy to know what to do and where to go. Even when one of the dogs was messing around and got out of line, and the musher had to come over and sternly show the dog how they were supposed to behave, the dog seemed to like it. She wondered about that, and as she was playing with the puppies, one of them looked like a puppy she had seen at the state fair earlier that year. But it was kind of a hard memory, because she had turned away from her mom at the fair, saw this puppy, and then when she looked around to tell her mom about it, she realized that her mom was gone. She didn't really know where she was, because the fair was really big. She didn't really know what she was supposed to do, and there was nobody around to tell her, to lead her. Nobody was in charge. And although she loved the puppy and was glad to see it, she felt really scared. Luckily, her mom had found her a few minutes later and rushed over and gave her a big hug and made sure she was okay, and then sternly said, "Follow me, stay by my side, and if you want to go look at something, tell me first." She just hugged her mom's legs. She didn't always like to do what she was supposed to do, what someone told her to do, but she realized she was so glad that she had someone she could rely on, that she knew what she was supposed to do, and that she knew who she was supposed to listen to. There was a comfort there, a sense of safety. And as she watched the dogs run and practice, she imagined that the dogs too liked to know what their role was. They wanted clear commands, and they wanted confident leadership from their musher. And that's when it occurred to her that authority could be kind, especially when it was founded on trust. When she went home that evening, she asked to hold her baby brother. First, she had made a strong stance with her feet, but then also made sure her arms were loose and flexible, just in case he wanted to move around. And she picked him up gently but strongly. And when he started to cry and cry, she looked him in the face. And she said, "It's okay, I've got you." He kept crying, but it was softer and slower. She said, "It's okay to cry, but you don't have to. You're okay. I've got you." And he slowly stopped crying, and he blinked, and he looked up to her. She knew he couldn't understand her words, but he had felt her kind and trusting presence, and he even smiled.
Thank you for that story, Ray.
Thanks, Drew. I enjoyed watching Togo, the dog sled movie, over the weekend. Thanks for the
Great.
recommendation.
Join us in singing The Summons.
Will you come and follow me if I will call your name? Will you go where you don't know and never be the same? Will you let my love be shown? Will you let my name be known? Will you let my life be grown in you and you in me? Will you leave yourself behind if I will call your name? Will you care for cruel and kind and never be the same? Will you raise the past instead? Should your life attract a stare? Will you let me answer prayer in you and you in me? Will you let the blinded see if I will call your name? Will you set the prisoners free and never leave the same? Will you kiss the leper clean and do such as this unseen and admit to what I need in you and you in me? Will you love the you hide if I would call your name? Will you quell the fear inside and never be the same? Will you let the faith you found to reshape the world around through my sight and touch and sound in you and you in me?
May we be brave enough to acknowledge and name what we do value about responsible authority. Not to excuse or undermine questioning what someone does with their authority, how they enact their power out into the world, but to really be clear about what it is that is essential to responsible authority, to the kind of leadership that is kind and clear and trustworthy, what we not only need, but want. May it be so, and amen.